And today we have Panos from Anodos. How's it going, my friend?
Doing well, very busy, working on many things.
All
Yeah,
right.
glad to be here.
Looking forward to hearing about everything you're working on, at least the stuff that you can share today. So, as I mentioned, you are from Anodos, as we can see on your background. We will dive a little bit deeper into what Anodos does and what's the roadmap or the future for you guys. But before we get there, I would like to know about you personally, Panos. Like, what's your background? What brought you to crypto, and what gets you excited in the morning?
Well, my background is in finance and accounting. I got basically, even what happened here in Greece, like starting from the financial crisis in 2008, like for the whole next decade, like it was basically a mess of banking nightmare. And whoever remembers, in 2015 and 16, it was like the a dark period in Greece where we had like capital controls, banks basically locked citizens out and businesses, of course, out of their savings and money. So it was a very difficult period, and that's what basically made me realize that we need something different, like we need a change. And it was accidentally that I found an article about Bitcoin, so I decided to read it. I was intrigued by the whole idea. It was like it was meant to be, and like find out about this one. So it was I mean, this is the solution. I mean, we have the first decentralized currency. We have blockchain technology, which allows you for the first time to be your own bank. So yeah, this is how everything started. I worked for an accounting firm. I also like did some banking internships and like realized how it's basically working from within the system. It was like one of the reasons with the 2008 financial crisis, and also facing difficulties as like our family business. That's what basically made me to decide and study finance and accounting, to really understand the banking system from inside, and also see what can be changed. So yeah, this is what inspired everything, and then I decided to deep dive into the crypto industry. First as an investor, and as a user. So my idea was to basically find the next Bitcoin in terms of like investments, because back then it was like Bitcoin was a bit under $1,000, and I thought like it's very expensive.
You're
So
too late. You're too late. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And let's try and find the next Bitcoin. So I just started searching what else is out there, and I fell into XRP and Ethereum. There was basically these were my first two crypto investments. I just bought like only a few small amount of Bitcoin to just learn about it and interact with the network. But XRP and Ethereum was my real first crypto investments. And it was in 2017 that actually clicked to me with the bull run, if you remember, like the ICO craze, and like in the end of 2017. And we were seeing like the basically of the top networks like Bitcoin, Ethereum, getting stuck. We're seeing like from there that you paid like from $5 for a transaction, you now like start paying 50 or more, and some Bitcoin transactions and even Ethereum took hours to settle from like a few minutes. So it was then that I realized, XRPL didn't bat an eye and like kept like closing transaction in 3 seconds under a cent. And I said, this is a technology that will stand for the long term. It's like built for mass adoption and like real world use cases. So this is when I decided to basically double down on the ecosystem, and I started my own Facebook group to like start discuss like XRPL updates and developments. I started writing my own content on Twitter, and from there, just get to know many people. I grew my network, and it was in 2019 and 20 where I started also analyzing many projects. I used hundreds of DeFi protocols across like many networks, and then I started my own consulting firm. I started advising crypto projects. I also started helping businesses to integrate blockchain into their operations. So yeah, from my experience as like going deeper and deeper into the industry, I also met with the now co-founders of Anodos Labs. It was actually me and Peter who's like started everything. We became we started talking, we became friends, and then with the rest as well, we started talking from the XRP community. So yeah, through the years, everything led to Anodos, and like we realized we have the same vision. That everything is too complicated. We had like everyone complaining that no person, like the average person, will never sit and deal with all this complicated stuff, like with hardware wallets, with seed phrases, and try to like navigate this space. So this was like what started the whole idea. And then, of course, as long-term XRP holders and XRP community members, we also wanted to do something in the XRPL ecosystem. So, we were seeing that, there was not a lot of activity in the ecosystem, and we knew that, the XRPL had the first DEX in history back from 2012. There were not like many user-friendly platforms or interfaces. So yeah, we just wanted to start from there. So yeah, that was like what inspired everything and how it led like to building Anodos Labs.
All right, you mentioned a few things. I'm almost having to take notes here, make sure that I don't forget about the few points I want to like return to. That's a great journey, by the way. You started pretty early. You were one of the OGs, like back in the day where Bitcoin was the only thing out there, and it was already like super hard to understand. I remember in those days we were all like accumulating Bitcoins because we're mining them or getting them a certain way or the other, but then always trying to find a way to spend the Bitcoins and like to be spent on stupid things. Back then we didn't know that it's going to go beyond the $1,000 and $10,000, $100,000 and potentially to the millions. We'll see what the future reserves to us. So your bet was, okay, I'm potentially late on Bitcoin, but I want something that is still young, and you bet on Ethereum and XRP. Which was very bright because obviously these tokens were still very young back then, and they are still today, but they evolved a lot since then. XRP went through a lot of issues, ups and downs, a lot of FUD, but then people who actually held are like right today, even if we're in a little dip. I think XRP has a bright future. You mentioned XRP having the first DEX back in the days when people did not even know what a DEX is. I personally think that XRP has a lot of embedded technology and a lot of features that are super impressive and cool, but XRP doesn't have a lot of builders. Everybody's building on EVM or on Solana or even on Sui today, but there's not many protocols like you guys that decided to take the bet and say, we're going to build on XRPL. What motivated that decision other than like being an old OG XRP holder?
Yeah, I mean the main reason is that because we love the XRPL ecosystem, and we wanted to we see the future, we see the potential. Unfortunately, many didn't and still don't. Let's say outside of XRPL, but we wanted to do something to basically, because we had Ripple, which is the biggest player in the ecosystem. They have the resources and everything, and they are focusing on their own use case. They're focusing on institutional finance and like B2B products. But I think that we saw that there's a huge gap for a consumer app and like a killer app that can actually bring the masses into the network. So we knew that XRPL was battle tested. Was one of the OGs in all these networks. It was basically the OG DeFi chain, introducing the first DeFi features before like even that term existed, before even like decentralized finance, stablecoins. These terms didn't exist, but XRPL was the first to have this. And we wanted basically to bring all these amazing features to the surface for the people to in an easy way to understand, because I think the biggest problem in the industry is that we have overcomplicated things so much, like both from UI and UX to the terms we use. For example, connect your wallet. I mean, the average person has no idea what that means. When we have been used to from the internet age, like for these decades, with like sign up and sign in. So why change like these terms that everyone is used to? So yeah, to the marketing, like brand awareness, all these things, I think we have done many mistakes as an industry, and as XRPL, of course. So yeah, I think this is something that we wanted to change. And from our experience, I think we are like uniquely positioned to do that. So yeah, this was why we chose the XRPL.
All right. Okay. You've spoken a lot about the broken user experience in crypto, like having to connect a wallet, having to sign transactions, approve transactions, do it multiple times, especially if you're bridging or so doing something like that. How do you tackle like what's called account abstraction on the EVM side, but on XRPL? Like, what are available tools and what's missing according to you?
I mean, do you mean like regarding Anodos and what I've built, or you mean generally on the industry?
I think it would be a good segue to what does Anodos offer. So if we talk about it without mentioning Anodos first, and then we'll dive into what Anodos does and what problems it solves.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole industry, has evolved compared to, especially when I got into like 10 years ago, and even like compared to 3 or 5 years ago, everything is obviously constantly evolving. But I think we still have some, key pieces like missing. For example, I mean, we are already like the account abstraction or like chain abstraction. I think it's in a very good level. But still, when it comes to interoperability, for example, I mean, bridging and like accessing different protocols or different assets like from different chains, I think it's still like mostly done manually for the user. Plus, like the settlement times, like how long it takes, the costs, all these kind of things, and pushing basically all these features on the front end for the users. I think this is what needs to be fixed. I think we need to head into a future where blockchain is completely invisible, because in the end of the day, the end user doesn't care about what technology is used, what chain is used, or what wallet or whatever solution you are using, as long as it's safe, it works, it's efficient, it saves like time and money. This is what most people care about. So we need to make all this super simple, and which leads to Anodos and our whole philosophy, which is this. And we started with the DEX, as I said, because the whole vision was there was no an easy user-friendly platform to for the DEX and like the core XRPL features. So yeah, we started by building a user interface for the DEX, which has now evolved into a one-stop shop for all things DeFi. So if you go into our platform, we also like launched in combination with this the Anodos wallet like last year, which is in partnership with Ripple and Palisade, using like their MPC technology, plus passkeys. So basically, we have abstracted this whole onboarding experience, and now for the first time, an XRPL user can just create an XRPL account in a few seconds with their biometrics. So they get into our platform, they sign up, they get an account. Obviously, they need to activate it, but in the future, we want to abstract it like as well with sponsored fees and reserves, which we are waiting as an amendment. And then, yeah, you have access basically to the DEX. We've also like added on-off ramps, so the user doesn't need to use multiple platforms or need to go to an exchange to buy their first XRP and like top up their account. So we have combined everything under one easy-to-use platform. You can like on-ramp XRP, you can trade on the DEX, you can provide liquidity to the AMM or like create your pools. We also have a sophisticated portfolio dashboard where you can basically control your whole account, like assets, pools, NFTs, check your transactions, your history, or like send money and assets easily from one address to another. So we have combined these things into one-stop shop, and we have also like partnered with Axelar, for example, and we're also like collaborating with Flare to bring easy access to assets like FXRP and MXRP, which I think right now are a bit complicated, but again, our philosophy is how we can enable with one click the users to be able to access these assets like easily. So yeah, this is like the core product that we have right now, Anodex combined with the Anodos wallet. And then on the developer tools and infrastructure side, we're also like one of the core infrastructure providers. We are a UNL validator in the XRPL network. We also launched recently an XRPL sandbox for developers, which is a playground for to like learn about XRPL or like test new features and play with interact with code in the XRPL. And then it's like the DEX on testnet, which surprisingly like nobody has done that yet, but I think it's needed for developers to be able to test different DEX transactions on testnet without risking real money. So we also like launched that recently. So yeah, I mean our contributions are both like on the consumer side and developer side, improving both the consumer experience and developer experience for XRPL. And then our core focus for this year and where everything is leading is of course the Anodos financial super app, which we want this to be our flagship product, and basically everything we have built so far will be combined into this mobile app under one intuitive experience.
Very, very cool. Very impressive, by the way. I do have a few points I would like to cover a little bit more in depth. So you mentioned like a few partnerships, like with Axelar, Flare, potentially Palisade on the wallet side of things, and maybe Midas, because you mentioned MXRP. So in the end, how important is it to you guys to partner with other players in the XRPL ecosystem? And tell us about that type of synergy, because it's tough to find people who are working, really collaborating together. A lot of people are kind of competing and not sharing what they're doing, and you guys are doing the opposite, obviously. Can you tell us about that synergy?
Yeah, I mean, since the beginning, I mean, our philosophy has been like how we can like collaborate with each other and like do something for the users, because I think, unfortunately, as you said, like there is this ego of that, many founders or projects have, that, we'll build it ourselves, we'll not collaborate with anyone else. We just have this idea for an app or a platform. We'll just build it without caring about anything else. But, our philosophy from day one has been asking, the community, asking for feedback for the users, and, because, we are building for them, we're not building for ourselves. I mean, yes, we are also users and we want to see these products, come to life. But at the end of the day, it's all about the community, what they want, what features they want to see, how they want the experience to be improved. And then when it comes to other companies and projects, obviously, I mean, you can't do everything by yourself. We understand that, and unless you have billions of dollars and like hundreds of people in your team, it's almost impossible, even for these huge corporations, to do everything by themselves. So yeah, partnering with the right players, with the right companies, I think it's very important. And we see ourselves more as the dot connectors, like trying to connect everything and package it in a great way, so in a very user-friendly way, so that anyone can let's say use these features. Because I mean, you have, for example, as I said, FXRP or lending or all these protocols or features that you can imagine. But I think most of these are too complicated for most users as they are. So we take these and with our experience, we can elevate them, we can make them simpler, more accessible to more people, especially the masses. So yeah, this is how we collaborate. And yeah, thankfully, we have built a big network of known players across the space, XRPL and outside of the XRPL. And yeah, we are very happy with the partnerships we have so far.
Very cool. We'll probably talk partnerships between us as well, because we complete each other. VS1 mainly does RWA tokenization for institutions. So we do need partners that offer all kinds of additional things, obviously, and offer utility to the tokens that we emit. I wanted to talk about the wallets. You mentioned you guys are building / continuing to build your own wallet. Can you tell us a little bit more, knowing that XRPL is a little bit lagging behind when it comes to wallet providers? If we think about AVM or Solana, there's dozens of cool wallets. In XRPL, we all started with Saman wallet, and we remember a struggle. How are you guys different, and what are the characteristics of your wallet?
Well, the truth is that because our philosophy again goes to the average person and to the everyday person on the street, not the crypto native. All the existing solutions were not enough. I mean, Zaman is great. It's feature complete is the #1 wallet, but still I don't think it's beginner friendly. And from our research, like any other wallet, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes on average for a user to just get in, sign up, go through the seed phrases, write them down. The whole process takes too long, and it's also terrifying, especially for newcomers into this space. So our idea was how we can completely abstract this experience. And we saw Palisade more than a year ago. We talked, we saw that their solution was great, institutional grade infrastructure, their MPC technology. So we collaborated more than a year ago, and we started building this wallet together, powered by passkeys, which is now used everywhere across all big tech. It's the most secure and convenient technology at the same time. And it uses works similarly like private keys. It's everything is encrypted, but you're using your biometrics. So most probably many people use passkeys without even knowing about it. Just click your biometrics on your phone, just sign up and sign in different websites or platforms through passkeys. So we wanted to bring this Web2-like experience into XRPL as well. And it was proven that Palisade had the best technology for us, and it was confirmed by Ripple acquiring them a few months ago. So now Palisade belongs to the Ripple stack, and yeah, the goal was to build this embedded wallet experience. It's not technically competing directly with Zaman and the other crypto native wallets, because this is intended only for our products, only for Anodos. So it's not something that you can integrate as another project. It's not something that you can download. It's just for our apps, you go to our DEX, for example, or any other platform we build, and you have this Web2 sign-up experience. You put your biometrics, and your account is created in the background for you in a matter of seconds. So this was the whole idea, how we can make it as simple, as fast as possible for beginners to start and get ready to go into XRPL and blockchain in general. So yeah, this was the whole philosophy behind that. And of course, security is the most important thing. And by now having like Ripple's institutional technology, I think it's very important for credibility as well.
So, okay, I was going to ask the question about like the portability of the wallet, and then you answered it right away. So this is a wallet for the Anodos ecosystem. So it's kind of almost your ID and your wallet at the same time. You log in and then it's given to you. You can like potentially inject money or withdraw money from it, but you can obviously interact with all the Anodos tools using that wallet. So it's part of your account in the end if we can do a parallel with Web2.
It's actually it's part of like of our infrastructure and like technology stack. And maybe in the future, I mean, it might be possible like to like extend this and like allow other projects to integrate this as well. But you know, for now, I mean, our core philosophy is like having it as an embedded experience in our apps, and this also, you know, will be integrated into the mobile app, the upcoming mobile app. So again, yeah, like it's behind like core of the stack, which will combine like with everything that we build in the future.
All right, very cool. How are you guys like integrating the upcoming primitives from XRPL? Like for example, everybody's talking about the lending and borrowing that is going to be released soon, and obviously once we have that, we will have additional stuff and yield products. Is that part of your roadmap, or where are you guys going with Anodos?
I mean, yeah, I mean for us, like you know, everything again leads, as I said, like to the super app, to this mobile app. So eventually everything will be consolidated into this you know, super app. So you know, as you said, like today we understand that you know the user has to fragment like their financial life across like a bank or a neobank for fiat, in exchange for trading, a different DeFi protocol for lending or any other feature, or like a hardware wallet for security. So the whole experience for any individual is fragmented. So there is also, like I said, like as I mentioned earlier, the complexity issue. But you know, our vision and our idea is how we can combine all these, including lending, for example, on XRPL, or like any other upcoming feature, to you know one app, and also making it like invisible to end users. So at the end of the day, we don't want the user to understand that they're using XRPL or blockchain or any crypto element. So yeah, we want this designed as like the single point of command. So we want to merge this institutional grade self-custody with the utility of global bank. So you know, I think it's clear that banks are not needed anymore. I mean, you can access any banking service without any institution, without their permission, without them taking a cut from you, or them using your money to make more money out of you. So yeah, the goal is to provide this borderless environment where anyone can now have a bank account in seconds. They can access any service that a traditional bank could give you, like lending. You can get a virtual account and IBAN. You can get your debit card. You can earn yield on your savings. You know, very important. That 4% U.S. Treasury yield that now banks earn from depositors, you can now cut the bank out of the way and go directly to the source as an individual. So you can save, you can access credit, you can spend capital globally without ever asking anyone. And I think having the full ownership is the number one feature for this. So everything that is built on XRPL and of course benefits to our users, our goal is to package it in a great way, in a user-friendly way, and giving them to the everyday person.
Okay. You mentioned institutions a few times, but what I understand is that you guys are targeting retail more than institutions, or is it both?
I mean, it's all, you know, I mean, institutions are like, I think, an overcrowded market, an overcrowded use case. And as I said, like Ripple is already doing that. Many big players are already like focusing on institutions. So my favorite analogy is what Ripple is doing for institutions, Anodos is trying to do for retail and consumers. So our sole focus is on individuals, and also at a later stage to small and medium businesses, which I think are also like very underserved. And there's like a big potential there for like the blockchain industry to offer services to small and medium businesses, from corporate banking to merchant processing, like all these great solutions that you can now have for the first time with blockchain and DeFi. We want this to offer them as well. So it's only consumers and small businesses.
Okay. Well, I think like if you extend it to small businesses, you already hit some of the use cases that are super useful, especially for example, the MPT tokens, right? Like that have properties that are not necessarily the same as like ARC20 or something like that, because they do have features that obviously I would say the cypherpunk in us doesn't like is this because like I first started like really believing in crypto and Bitcoin back in 2011, 2012. And for me, it was kind of similar to you. It was kind of to stop relying on the banking system and on the intermediaries and then it's power to the people. It's P2P. It's really like I can send you money and you can send me back money without anybody like interfering in that transaction or freezing it or clawing it back. But we realized a few years after that those features are required for certain use cases, obviously, especially to do business. Like people like the credit card because they also know that if someone hacks it and pays with it, you can call your bank and say it wasn't me, and they give you back the money. So that is not possible on ERC20s. It is possible on MPTs, for example, if things are done properly. Is it part of your plan to offer these features to small businesses?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I'm thinking any use case that or any feature that is useful for businesses. Yeah, I mean, our goal is, we are listening to these people, we're listening to these businesses. So it's not a matter of what we want, it's a matter of what they want, and we will build it because we understand very well the technology, the banking, and like everything that surrounds this technology. So yeah, we are whatever our users demand, we're here to support it.
Perfect. So using the MPTs, using the token escrow, using the lending protocol, I think we can build multiple what we call DeFi Legos because that's what really helped DeFi thrive in the past few years. And my understanding is that you guys are not necessarily willing to build everything or reinvent the wheel. Your idea is more to bring that to the app, to the Anodos app through partnerships, and then potentially just like embed that experience into a very basic UX, UI, so people can have access to everything without having to jump from one tool to the other. One of the most broken experiences is bridging and doing things cross-chain. So is it part of your goals to be chain agnostic, or are you going to be XRPL centric, or is XRPL centric now, chain agnostic in the future? What's your vision?
I mean, I think everyone understands that the future is multi-chain. Like everyone says it, like Brad, Ripple, everyone like knows that the future is multi-chain. And as good as XRPL is, I mean, there are some things missing, and there's like, for example, if we want to offer, our vision is to offer, for example, tokenized commodities like gold or tokenized stocks. And all these, at least for now, don't exist on XRPL. So if we want to offer this to our users, we have to like expand and leverage other chains as well. But again, our idea is to use XRPL at the center, like XRPL will be at the center of the app and Anodos as a whole, and the settlement layer. I mean, that's the goal. And then, for example, through our partnership with Axelar, I think I can share this. I mean, it's not like private information, but Axelar has been working on a bridge between XRPL and Solana for some time now. And it's going live soon. I don't know the date exactly, but they're working on it. So yeah, through like this, I mean, now for the first time we'll be able to offer basically maintain XRPL as a settlement layer and be able to access, for example, assets from Solana and having the experience completely invisible to the user. So for example, let's say some users want to trade stocks 24/7, like buy, let's say the S&P. We'll be able to offer this through our app, but again, the user never realizes it's XRPL or Solana. I mean, it's like fully abstracted experience. With one click, you can buy this asset. It doesn't matter where it is or how, let's say, it's bridged or happens in the background. All it matters is that the user can now buy this and have access to it. So yeah, eventually, yes, I think the app will be like multi-chain and like keep XRPL as the main settlement layer.
Let's hope that people don't start like aping meme coins because Solana is all of meme coins. I don't think that's the case because you need like super velocity there. But I like the vision of like allowing people to tap into any asset and still settle on XRPL because it's safe. It's like has a high throughput and it's fast, cheap, everything, right?
Just to add something like to now that you mentioned like meme coins, I mean, we're not planning to offer like we want to avoid this leading use case of crypto being just for memes or trading or like gambling. I think this is what the main mentality around most people right now. Even if you ask some random person in the street and you ask them about crypto, they will either tell you that's a scam or the mind will go directly to memes, trading, gambling, and everything that they mostly see across like social media. So we want to go completely away of this narrative. So I mean, when it comes to our app, we'll just offer only the serious assets, and our focus will be on real world assets. So you will never see any meme token. We'll not see like for like most of the tokens. I mean, we'll just offer stable coins, which is like will be like the primary engine, because either way, most people and the average person will want to hold fiat, so basically tokenized fiat, which is stable coins, and be able to save, spend with their card or whatever. So I mean, stable coins will be always the number one, and then it's certain top assets like XRP, Solana, Bitcoin, like the top crypto assets. So like a few selected assets, and then it's just pure real world assets. It's commodities, stocks, and whatever else like we can offer. So I mean, yeah, forget meme coins, forget trading, forget gambling. We're here to like offer this premium banking experience for everyone.
Very cool. So you're going for like a Web 2.5 experience. Like it's mainly targeting Web 2 people with crypto on the back or like blockchain in the background without having to understand what chain, what wallet, and whatever. That's great vision. And I like also the fact that you're kind of removing a lot of noise because people who want to trade meme coins, they know where to trade them, honestly.
Exactly, yeah.
And the other people are just scared of those, or they touched them and then got burned by the Trump token.
Yeah, I
So
mean, I think it's much like a red flag because once they see like meme coins, they usually get away, go away from it. So yeah, I think.
yeah, quick double click on the cross-chain elements. I know that you mentioned people don't care about how these are bridged. I personally do care. So are they actually fully bridged, or are you minting synthetic tokens, or is Axelar minting synthetic tokens on the other chain?
No, I mean it's actually. I mean there are two ways to go about it. I mean there are obviously the synthetic assets that Axelar mints. For example, on XRPL you have like USDC Axelar. You have like all the other assets that Bitcoin Axelar, like all these issued assets by Axelar. But in our case, we want to offer like the real deal. So our goal is basically to not go to Solana and bridge the asset back, but stay where the asset is. So for example, you want tokenized gold, which is offered by Tether or like Paxos, for example, which exists on Solana but doesn't exist on XRPL. So what happens is basically, let's say you have stable coins and you want to buy let's say tokenized gold. So the stable coin will be bridged from XRPL to Solana and will swap from, let's say, the Paxos gold, and it will stay there. It will not be bridged back as a synthetic asset. It will just be the real deal. So our goal is to just support these multiple networks, and because these synthetic assets add some extra risk as well, and there might be not enough liquidity. So we want to offer what's best like for our users.
Very cool. So liquidity doesn't move chains, like liquidity stays where it is, and you guys tap into it using the Axelar connectors. That's very cool because, as you said, synthetics do have their own issues, although they also have advantages, obviously. But the goal is not for us to mint every like synthetic token for every cool token or cool project out there, because we might have too many to manage and to provide liquidity for. I wanted also to ask about what you mentioned about like the sandbox and offering the DEX on testnet. This kind of opens the door for future builders to come and test technologies and to get used to XRPL. As I mentioned, there's a lot of hackathons, there's a lot of like activity going on for EVM chains and for Solana and for like popular chains. I personally don't see enough being done for XRPL. I wish there was a little bit more. So how do you guys contribute to that movement or bring talent to XRPL?
I mean, I think the XRP ledger is currently undergoing a structural renaissance. We're seeing work being done about programmability, about lending, all these foundational primitives needed to build a sophisticated ecosystem, which is mainly focused on finance. But however, there are like some key pieces that are missing, like lack of proper developer tools. There is lack of support for and initiative like for builders. Lately, like everyone has been complaining around like the grants program and like how builders are not like supported as much as they should. And then we have some issues around like very low liquidity and activity in the network. And I also like wrote an article recently about that, pointing out all the issues and also proposing solutions in order to make the XRPL a top network, because we care about the ecosystem. We wanted to see it in the top, especially by the most important metrics, which is TVL, active users, developer activity, and like bringing more quality assets in. For example, yield-bearing stablecoins, tokenized commodities, stocks, all these important assets. I think they're very important to bring them to XRPL as well. So our contribution is, what we have seen and experienced by ourselves. For example, we have brought 4 or 5 new developers to XRPL, like from our team when we started, because most of our team and developer team knew nothing about XRPL. Most were new, so they had to be trained. They had to spend some time and understand how the XRPL works. So I think another issue is like this, not just the tools, but also like the marketing and like having this brand awareness, because now everyone knows about DVM, everyone knows about smart contracts or Solana, but almost nobody knows about XRPL and how it works and like all the mechanics, especially like for developers. So yeah, I think we need like more initiatives, more like hackathons, more general like events and like educational resources, better docs. Like I think the whole environment needs to be improved. And we're just doing on our side, we're doing as much as we can with the limited resources that we can. And we're also, at the same time, we're trying to, push Ripple and others who have the resources to like do something about it or like support different initiatives. So we're helping as much as we can, and that's why we decided to build the sandbox and the testnet environment for the DEX. Because nobody was acting about it, nobody was like doing anything. So we just spent some time as a side projects and like build this to help both us and like the future developers to come on our team, but also like at the same time it helps other new developers in the ecosystem. So I think it's like very important for such tools to be to exist and to be supported. But I think we need much more, and hopefully we'll see like bigger initiatives.
Yeah, you mentioned a few important things, and I think education around how XRPL works and what's available and what's not, and how like to build things in XRPL compared to other chains is something that's really missing. I personally got like educated myself a few years back by watching people on YouTube that were like explaining how smart contracts work and how to build. They were using like different technologies and different SDKs and different libraries that simplify life for a dev. That's a little bit what's lagging behind, and I think we can onboard a lot of devs by just offering them that support. Once we have the devs, we will have the primitives. Once we have the primitives, we will have an ecosystem, and once we have an ecosystem, we have an economy.
Just a cycle, But,
so that's how it works.
Yeah, and another thing that I will mention like is marketing. I think is a big issue. I mean, it has always been like a core issue on I think in the XRPL ecosystem, because even today, I mean, everyone thinks of XRPL. I mean, they're just associated with Ripple. They just think it's for institutions and for banks, and you can't really much about there. I mean, most of the crypto community doesn't even know that XRPL has a DEX and all these amazing features. So I think
I'm guilty of thinking that, at least in the past few years. I used to go to like crypto conferences and see the XRPL booths, and I'm like, that's where bankers and institutions. Let me go over there to see Uniswap or to see whatever. So yeah.
I mean, this is a proof that something has been done like wrong all the previous years, and we see that like everyone across all the other ecosystem and how they perceive and how they see both Ripple and the XRPL. So I think a lot of work needs to be done when it comes to marketing and brand awareness. For example, one proposal that I gave back to both to Ripple and the foundation is that we need a dedicated account on X and socials just for XRPL, just like everyone else has. Like Solana has it, Base has it, Avalanche has it. Like every single chain and ecosystem out there has an account, a page dedicated only for XRPL. There is none for XRPL. There's just Ripple and the foundation, which is just for entities. I mean, but there's nothing that to increase the brand awareness of XRPL, post like resources, updates, and try to promote the XRPL brand itself. So things around that. I think this is also very important to also not only attract new developers, but also change the mindset about how people think about XRPL.
That's good to know. I never asked the question, but what's your target market? I see a lot of similarities of like what brought you to crypto. Like I've seen a lot of other Greek friends having the same train of thoughts. I also saw it like being like played in Argentina, for example, has similarities, maybe not the exact same situation, but like Argentina, Lebanon, Turkey, Greece, all of these like populations and civilizations, I would even say, struggled for similar issues. The World Bank, their currency being devalued, and in your case, like having like strong issues once like Greece joined the Eurozone, and then everything became super expensive, and the government. Like I don't want to go into politics, but there's a lot of people who are like doing crypto projects only targeting the US, Western Europe, and maybe some Asian countries. And there's a few that are going against the current and targeting emerging economies. Where you guys fit into that spectrum?
Well, our goal is to be global from day one, because what we're building is non-custodial. It's like, the user has full control. Also, like all the services, we're tapping on DeFi protocols and like everything is on chain. So, our benefit is that, we don't, let's say, have these regulatory restrictions. We're not like need like any licenses to operate on a certain jurisdictions, because everything we do is self-custodial. We the user just has full access, and we're just the gateway for it. So our goal is to be global from day one. But regarding like key jurisdictions, like specific like targeting in terms of like marketing or focusing more on specific markets, I would say it's like countries like Greece, or like countries like in Latin America, Africa, some Asian countries that it's more difficult to have access to not just premium banking services, or like this private banking services we call it. We want to bring this private banking experience without the private banking bureaucracy that institutions give you. But at the same time, we also many in like these countries, especially Latin America and Africa, don't even have access to basic services. They can't even open a bank account. They can't even have a card. So now for the first time, through our app, we want to offer them this opportunity where they can open and have access to all these services within a couple of minutes. They can get their Visa card, they can get their bank IBAN account. They can now like send remittances all around the world without any restrictions. Because on the other hand, you have, for example, neobanks like Revolut, Cash App, or like all the big names. But again, all these are permission, and they're like restricted because they hold, they're centralized, they hold custody of your funds, they act as banking institutions, and they only like work in certain countries. So it's not like global. They have like many issues. And I just made a post earlier today that someone just got frozen out of their Revolut account, which is an everyday phenomenon across many banks and neobanks. So with our app, the goal is to give you the full control, to enable you to be your own bank without all the complexities. So nobody can actually freeze your money ever again. That's the whole point. That's why we're doing this. Coming from our experience, like with Greece, capital controls, where many people lost their savings, many businesses shut down just because they didn't have access for months to their capital. So we want to build the alternative, and we want to be global. We want to have no restrictions, and this is our vision.
Very cool. I really appreciate this session, by the way. We went in depth into multiple rabbit holes, and I wanted to potentially wrap with one of them, because we mentioned it before we started the session, which is like the agentic tsunami that is hitting us across the board. How are you guys navigating that?
If you also like go to our waitlist, for example, you'll see that agentic finance and like having your AI assistant is like be like a core feature in our app. And eventually, especially like as we go deeper and like expand, it will be like, I would say, the most important feature, because we're not talking about a simple AI chatbot. That's not even what we're talking about. We're talking about a full high quality, high sophisticated agent where you can basically automate all your transactions. So now imagine, and I think eventually everything leads there, because most people are already like interacting with AI. And just if you see the example of compare blockchain to AI and how AI has been massively adopted because of its ease of use and like the features that it offers, I think eventually most people will also interact with AI for everything. So instead of them using apps and navigating different interfaces or having to learn different apps and how it works, you'll just tell your AI agent to do everything. So our vision is, for example, instead of you having to tap 5 times to send some money, I can just say, for example, send $100 to Fehmi, and I just have to confirm that you're actually sending this to you and the information. I just approve, and that's it. I don't have to deal with any interface. I don't have to like tap 5-10 times. The same goes then for even more complex transactions. For example, imagine being a small business and you have to do like pay your staff every day, do the payroll, accounting or whatever financial or accounting transactions. You can now tell your AI agent to consolidate everything and like send batch payments, batch transactions. It can save you time, it can save you money, And many other crazy ideas. For example, another example, let's say a friend has a birthday, let's say in 1 month from now, and instead of you having to like search for a gift and like do all the whole process of buying them and like sending them to their house, you can now tell your AI agent to navigate to their social profile, learn about them, and like make a purchase based on what they think. So the AI agent does the whole work for you. They will buy the gift for your friend, they will ship it to your friend's house, and you don't have to deal with basically anything, not spend time or like research or like try to possibly come out with a worse gift than the AI could, let's say, get you. So all these crazy ideas, I think, will be like part of the everyday life in the near future. So yeah, eventually, yeah, AI and like having this agentic finance, I think will be in the core of our app.
I like the vision, and I will potentially be a user myself when you guys release this, because I do need, like I do some, like not very advanced transactions, but like having an agent that I can tell him, I want you to buy this token if it reaches this level, or I want you to sell whatever I have if it goes below this level, like as a stop loss type of mechanism or something like that, or I want you to stake, but I want you to remember to unstake in 3 months from now, because sometimes I stake tokens, I forget about them. So having this as a companion that does things for you, especially recurring things, is much needed, because we get overwhelmed and we forget things, and then the token goes to zero, and then we're like, okay, we've seen that before. Hopefully that we will be better managers of our tokens and our wallets and everything.
I mean, I think it's how we can use like all these new technologies to like simplify our lives. Because unfortunately, there are some people that or projects that, yes, they integrate these new technologies, but they complicate things even further. So they make it more difficult to use certain people, or they add more risk. I think there's another thing, because I think we're not there yet with the AI technology to trust it completely with our money and like being able to buy things for us. I think eventually we'll get there, but I think we still have some things to solve and like the technology to advance further. But yeah, I think in the end it's how we can simplify our lives and save time, money, and make our lives better and easier.
All right. Panos, this was a pleasure. It was like really cool, very educational at the same time. Any final words to the audience?
Well, I think it's all up to us, like to the community, to the builders, to come up with great solutions. I think there's a lot of division, unfortunately, due to like many reasons. Many are like short-sighted, or many are focusing on speculation. Many fight about prices or predictions, but I think we're missing the whole point and why we got here into the space. I mean, yes, some and most are here to just make money, but in the end of the day, we're also here to benefit from this technology. Make, as I said, our lives easier, improve anything in our everyday life as an individuals or businesses. So yeah, I mean, let's support each other. Let's keep giving feedback to each other so that we can improve everything around us, our products, our projects, and yeah, we just keep going, keep building, and yeah, don't give up. I mean, the prices and markets are just short-term noise. I think what matters is like the solutions that we'll come up with, the innovation. Yeah, let's just help each other.
All right. Thank you so much, Panos, and to our valued listeners and watchers. Thank you so much for listening to us and watching us at every episode. This was Panos from Anodos. Please go ahead and follow their official accounts on Twitter and on the other channels that you will find on the website. Follow Panos and follow Anodos, because they will be sharing alpha. They will be sharing information. I'm looking forward to learning when the AI agents will be released. As I said, I'm going to be using them personally. And by the way, follow us as well. We're VS1. We will keep adding new builders to this series, and we're glad to have you all on board. Hoping to see you soon, potentially on one of the events. In person is always better than virtually.
And don't forget to sign up on our waitlist. If you want early access to the app and you want to be the first to use the app or like get access to the card, yeah, just make sure you sign up on our waitlist. And
where do we sign up to the waitlist? Is it on the website?
Yes, it's on the website. But if you go to anodos.finance/app, you can just yeah, it's the waitlist page. You can sign up with your email and just receive the future updates.
Perfect. I'm doing this right now. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Panos. And then we'll talk potentially very soon at an event. And for those who are listening or watching, thank you for your attention. And then we'll come back with a new episode very soon. This was Fehmi from VS1, and this was a pleasure. Thanks.